Following NRL 360, it's face-to-face on Fox with Steve Edgegorn.
One of the great guys, played at the Dragons and Parramatta. I think won 5 grand finals at both clubs. Yeah. What a legend he was, and he's a great fella.
5 premierships and 4 as captain. What an absolute legend. Thank you, Gordy. That's it for NRL 360 for tonight. Now it's time for face-to-face on Fox.
There's been trying the ball in disgust. Stephen Edge trying desperately to calm the players, his own players down. I mean, what possible point is there now? They had 17 points to 0 on the board. Edge's done a good job for his team today of keeping them firing. He's still directing traffic out there. Watch him. Still keeping them concentrated. Come on, he says. We've won it 77. Keep it cool.
Steve Edge, well, you're the Grand Master of Grand Finals, and these were all played in an era of the pantheon of all the all-time greats, really, but you keep it so low-key. Is that always your style?
I try and keep everything low-key. I really, really do. I just realise exactly how lucky I have been to be able to have played in so many grand finals and played with so many great players and played against so many great players. Just wonderful.
Born in Cogra Hospital, grew up in and around the area, so you were brought up on a very healthy and steady appetite of premierships. The St George team of that era, you mention lucky, did you feel like the luckiest little boy in the world?
Oh, absolutely. That was the only downside, of course, is they only played 4 games at Cogra during the year because the rest of the time they're at the home ground, at the cricket ground. The best part, of course, at the end of the game, you'd be able to jump the fence and race out and get autographs, and they were just, I mean, they're absolute idols, those guys. And I remember Norm Provan, he'd be standing there and he'd sign every single autograph, and he's sweating, and he's, you know, just a wonderful man.
These were your heroes, and then
Absolutely,
they would become your friends, which is, as if you had been able to tell a young Steve Edge as a boy, these men that you're idolising, they're going to talk to you as a fellow captain, as a fellow leader, as a fellow Red V. That's an incredible journey.
There's one photo that I do treasure, and it was after we won the 77 grand final, and Changa and Johnny Raper, they've lifted me up. They're like this, and there's a photo of them holding me in the air and me smiling and thinking, how good is this? You know, it's just...
As they should celebrate you. Going back to that childhood and being a St George fan, what were some of your best memories of the Sheridan stand at the SCG?
Well, Sheridan stand, I think I sold my seat in the Sheridan stand when South played the Dragons, you know, with the record 78,000 people. And I was still able to, I said, but I'll sell my seat here. I said, but I'm going to sit on the back of the seat. And that's exactly what I did do.
These immortals and champions of the Red V, they're responsible for your love and respect for the game. Would you ever have thought that your path would follow in their footsteps?
Well, you always dream. I actually had 3 years out of football because my father was a very good bicycle rider. He was a sprinter and all that type of stuff, and I actually almost made the Olympic Games. Only one thing stopped me from going there, and that was ability. I had none. So I got to be the slowest bike rider of all time, but I had to have a go at it, you know. So I had 3 years off the footy, and I think that was really good for me. I just happened to wander down and see some of my mates play down at Scarborough Park one afternoon, and I thought, I'm going to have a shot back at this. I miss this. I miss this. So I got back onto that, and then it just, you know, just...
The success of the Dragons, and it made in those early years, and it made the Red V one of the most respected and recognised emblems in the sporting world. What was that moment like when you first were able to pull on your red and white jumper?
I got this ego thing, you know. I grabbed the jumper. I was in the dressing room at Cogra Oval, and they had this great big Tui's mirror. I put it on, and I raced into where the mirror is just to have a look, and then I started to feel myself think, how lucky are you? And never forget it. Never forget it. Loved it.
Because what was staring back at you? something you'd always dreamed of.
This was edgy, you know, that little with a red V.
Your first game against Balmain at Leichhardt Oval. Graham Langlands is your captain coach. Any words of wisdom?
As a matter of fact, I remember it vividly. We were at Leichhardt Oval in those days. It faced the other way, so you'd be looking into the sun, directly into the sun coming. I held my own really, really well, which was pretty amazing. I had a lot of help. I had Billy Smith feeding the scrums, and anyway, the ball got dropped, and I kicked it, and I kicked it about 40 metres. The fullback picked the ball up. I tackled him. Down he went. The crowd cheered. I got up. If you ever do that again, you'll be straight off. And there's a few other adjectives involved. There was Chang. Yes, Mr. Langlands. And I started going back, you know. And Billy came up and tapped me on the bum. He said, "Edgy, he does that to everyone." He said, "Don't worry about it. You're going great." You know, so.
What about Billy Smith? What did he imprint on you about being professional and making sure that you did everything in your control to make sure that you were
Johnny
ready?
Pearce, they for some reason, when I first came up, they took a liking to me. You know, they taught me how to train. They were the ones who pushed me through the pain barrier. So we used to, in those days, we used to do 10K runs and all this type of stuff, and they'd sort of say, you know, I'd start to drop back, and they'd, "No, Edgy, stay up here with me, stay up here. You've got about another 20, 30 seconds." He said, "You'll go through this and you'll pick up your second wind." He said, "And away you go." And they both said, "And by the way, to make it in this game, you have to be the best trainer in the whole club." And I never, ever forgot that.
That's incredible advice. And then by the time 75, you're into your first grand final. Roosters, they've got Ronnie Coote, Arthur Beetson.
The toss will take place. And Beetson's taken first use of the breeze.
Astonishing. Were you a little overawed?
I think, well, you're nervous before any grand finals. Like when someone says, "What's the best grand final?" Doesn't matter, mate. You're. I don't care who you are. I said, you're got butterflies and you're going around here like this. Once it's kicked off, away you go. Yeah. You just go on to another. You don't worry about anything else. You can't.
What did you learn out of that final?
Well, we were going pretty good. It was 5-0 or something just before half time, and you know, and we were a bit unlucky not to have scored a couple of tries early, and we were going pretty well, and then they sort of found out that Chang had white boots on and couldn't run.
Yeah.
And once they found that, they just kept going bang straight down that side, and it's like in our game, if you get a momentum going, it's very difficult to stop. And, you know, they're racing through, and Beetson there. I remember there were 3 of us on Beetson who got him going down. I think they haven't copped that Beetson. Then I looked up and Fairfax is in under the post because he's flicked one out the back, and they just run on. And
Beetson. Well, he did well to hold that. It went halfway down his leg. Oh, and he got the pass onto Fairfax, and Fairfax has scored.
So we all walk into the dressing room. We're down in the dumps. You know, every single one of us just really, really feeling very low and heads down and all that. Billy comes in and he says, hey, we finished second. All right, we got beat by a better side on today. Let's go out, we've had a great season. Let's go. There's another 10 teams that are way behind you, and so don't worry about it. And we did. I think we had a fantastic night, they tell me.
Great perspective.
It was.
Great perspective.
But that's Billy. That's why Billy was so good to a team. He's so full of team spirit.
The next year, Graham Langlands retires, and they're looking for a new captain. How honoured were you that they chose you?
Just kept getting better and better and better. I'm trying to think, how much better can this game get? Kenny Carney, Ian Walsh. I mean, you just shake your head. Graham Langlands, I mean, Norm Proven, and think, shit, I'm one of them. What
was it about you? What was it about your style or your leadership approach? What was it about you that made you so suitable?
I really don't know. I honestly don't know.
By 77, the great Harry Bath arrives. What is...
Coach, like, concentrate on the forwards, and your backs just wander. Go and kick the ball out the back there like that. Harry is very down to earth, old school, easy to get on with, and, you know, I found him very, very good.
He's remembered for that incredible quote about remember those who dug the well. And
Absolutely.
he must have imprinted a lot of that onto you. Remember the greats, remember the immortals, remember the champions who were there and wore that jersey. Now, that's right, that's right.
You talk to Craig Young and myself or whatever like that, and we'll always, we're sort of doing a talk about something, and always remember those that dug the well.
So, the 77 grand final. The first version. Grand final day. We think it's at the decider. You're up, what, 9-0 at half-time. So what happened? What happened? How did the Eels get back into it?
I think they scored with 3 minutes to go, the last time they scored.
Did you feel the game slipping away?
You can't have the ball bouncing your way all the time. We were there. And don't forget, we're a very young side. Then they started to get a few things. The ball bounced their way and they scored. But then the extra time, we were so unlucky not to knock them off. I think we had 3 or 4 shots. And then I looked up and there's the referee, no try. You're only 10 yards offside. I said, yeah, you're probably right.
Such Spartan times at the SCG in the grand final, no bigger stage. You've gone to extra time, can't be separated. What was the feeling at the end where you go?
I often talk about this. The bell rings, it's a draw, and then you look around and then you start seeing them dropping because you've got no result. You've got to put all that effort in there and there's no result and your brain just cannot cope with it and you just go, boom.
It must have felt like a loss.
It did. Oh, it was awful.
Because you had to come back the next week.
Had to play the next week. And I think we just adjusted better than what they did because we just went back and we had a terrific night that night. Because again, yeah, it was out there. Hey, boom, boom, boom. Everyone celebrate tonight. Tomorrow we're back to square one.
So what did you do differently that week? Because it's a very different result.
Nothing.
Really? Kept it the same.
That's got us there.
Yeah.
You don't change your rhythm or need or whatever it is. It's just we just had to keep going over exactly. No new moves, no nothing. Just stay with what you do. So
your first premiership, well worth the wait?
No. No, people say, what's it like to win a premiership? I said, mate, how many times can you win a lottery?
79, you beat the Bulldogs. And this is in their vintage of the Mortimers and the Hughes brothers and George Paponis.
All great mates of mine.
Did you know that was going to be your last game for the Dragons?
Nope. I love the Dragons, always have loved the Dragons. Never even entered my head. I was up for, it was my 10th year was the next one, life membership, that would have set the whole thing. However, what happened, I think they made a business decision. They thought Edgy's towards the end of his career and we've got someone else coming through. So they made me an offer. I said, sorry, I can't accept this. I was up at 3 o'clock in the morning walking around my backyard. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Because I didn't want to leave it. We'd won. We'd gone on our trip away and they'd sort of indicated, we'll sort all this out and blah, blah, blah. Anyway.
You must have felt shattered.
I was. Anyhow, I didn't stay shattered for too long.
Because where did Parra come from?
I had offers from Penrith, from West, Cronulla, the whole, so there was no drama with that. It's just me missing out on
the club
playing other than the red thing. And then I get this phone call from a guy from David's Holdings. And I said, what do you want with me? He said, well, I'm representing Parramatta Leagues Club. I said, what's the deal? He said, what do you mean? I said, well, what's the deal? I said, I am sick to death of this whole thing. I said, I've had 4 others, different offers already. I just want to get on with it. He threw a figure. I said, OK, I'll sign. He said, what? I said, I'll sign, but I want to sign tonight. He said, what do you mean? He said, well, you haven't even negotiated any of this. I said, no. I said, that's a fair offer. you know, I don't get greedy. I said, that's very happy with that. Okay, so made an appointment that night. Parramatta were having a get-together of their players. As we're driving in, Ray Price is driving out, stops the car, winds the window down. Edgy, what are you doing here? I said, mate, I'm signing, I'm playing with you next year. He said, you beauty. And then kept going. And, you know, so one thing led to another and signed the deal. And off we went.
So in 80, you're a Parramatta Eel. And did you feel like by the time you got into the group, did you see the potential for this golden run they were about to go on?
Well, there were a few things that happened to me, right? Things can never be quite exactly as you'd expect. Johnny Pearce was the coach. Now, Johnny, as I said before, helped me, showed me how to play, what you need to do. He rings me. I says, hey, Peardy, how you going? I'm really, really pleased I'm playing with you. And I said, well, you've got to hear it from me rather than anyone else. I said, what do you mean? He said, I didn't want you. I said, well, mate, all I ask is you just give me a go. He said, I'll guarantee you that. He said, I'll give you a go, but you needed to know that before anything else. Once I got to Parramatta, you got to be the best trainer in the club. In here. So I did. I trained very, very hard, and that helped me, I think, get over any issues with any of the players about, you know, me coming from...
So you had to prove yourself a bit, did you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, guaranteed. And 1980 was a great year for me. I worked very, very hard and ended up being fortunate enough to, you know, play for New South Wales.
So, 81, you're the blue and gold. You've got...
Agam, are you Parramatta? Who cares?
Well, you're successful
What do you
both.
do? I said, well, you know, what do you do? You know, who do you barrack for? I said, barrack for both of them. What do you do when they play each other? I said, well, it's very easy. I come out a winner. I said, it's just... And I don't, because they are both great clubs. I mean...
Same roster and big stars of the time. Big names, big pay packets, big personalities.
Where were the pay packets?
Well, they tell me the pay packets weren't too bad.
Well, I didn't hear about those things.
That's because you didn't negotiate.
No,
You just said, yeah, I'm playing. But your role as captain, you've now got to manage this big, confident group that will go on and change rugby league forever. How did you manage those men?
Well, you don't manage them. You just pretty much give them as much freedom as they can. The coach tells you guidelines. He'll give you guidelines. Jack was, I mean, he was just unbelievable. Jack Gibson, he was just a wonderful person. He knew what he was doing. He and Ronnie Massey. Ronnie Massey was his right-hand man, a big part of the Gibson coaching panel.
What did Jack Gibson say he needed out of his captain? What did he need from you?
These are the basics. Off you go.
Wow.
I think in all the time that, in the 3 years that I was there with him, I called him once and he said, we're playing Candlety, and it was pretty close to the post, and I said, take a tap, and it didn't work out. We dropped the ball or something like that. So Tuesday, Edgy, your decision on, against Canterbury and that, why did you do it? Well, Jack, one of your little sayings was, do what the opposition don't want you to do. And I said, I think that was exactly, if I was in their spot, I would not have wanted us to attack, because we're only 10 metres out and like that. No problem, off you. Only time ever he said anything about any of my decisions.
Incredible time, 81, 82, 83. This is the three-peat, the famous three-peat that we're still talking. Did you think at the time you would be sitting somewhere 40 years from that day still talking about that no one's ever been able to repeat that?
It's a pretty good time. So, I mean, it's had some wonderful play. And certainly the beauty of it is your guns played big.
You're going to do something that we probably wouldn't see for another half a lifetime or even more.
Well, I never actually think about it that much, but it obviously was a pretty good thing, and we're probably a bit unlucky not to do 4 in a row, you know. But does Edgy worry about that? No, mate. Hey. As I said, in the end, there are just some games where you're not going to win. It's just the ball's just not going to bounce your way and all that type of stuff. So yeah, anyhow. So that was my last game was in 1984.
You're such a legend of the game, and you never put yourself forward as you know the main guy. Like, you let everyone else take the spotlight.
Edgy can't be, because he's not as good as some of the other guys. I'm all right in my spot, what I'm doing and stuff like that.
I feel like a pit bull now, and there's no stopping.
I feel like a world champion. I'm top of the world right now.
New Dettol Protect 24 range. It doesn't just kill germs, it keeps killing germs for up to 24 hours. Germ protection. Touch after touch with Dettol Protect 24 range.
You know, you can sort out your Toyota insurance here too.
Oh.
What's the step?
I don't think it's going to fit in there.
Yeah, I know. That's why I booked the van through Kinto.
Oh.
Rotate the wheels, we inspected the driver's floor mat, that's fitment and retention. Replace the engine oil and the engine oil filter, and that's all covered in your cap price service today.
Oh.
There are oh so many reasons to choose Toyota. Oh, what a feeling. Toyota.
Introducing Gillette Labs with exfoliating bar. With one-stroke exfoliation, it clears a path on your skin before the blades for an effortless shave. Level up with Gillette Labs.
Unforgettable, magnifique, so unbelievably clean. Finish Ultimate Plus, intensive clean and shine, leaves your dishes so clean, you'll impress yourself. Incredible.
Get ready for a feeling you can't quite describe. The T-Rock R, in stock now.
It's just the greatest game. He goes the length of the field. What a game of football.
And if I fall, East versus Outlanding.
Has done it again.
The world, I'll be the last one standing. I'll be the last one standing.
Holding up the Giltinan Shield for the 3rd year in a row.
Now, you said you're the luckiest man in the world, and you also get a call up for the very first State of Origin. And this is something that's gone down in rugby league folklore. So you're into Lang Park.
Yep.
Arthur Beetson, he's got this Queensland team all dialed up. And we know that the mate versus mate thing was Beetson and Cronin. But Artie came for you first.
Yeah, well, a couple of things with Arthur. We're on a trip away, right? This would have been 1980, I think it was, up in Queensland. I'm waiting out I got my bags ready to go upstairs. The lift door opens. The next thing, I got my face up against the wall. Boom. Beastie had just come straight in. Boom! Edgy! How you going? Pretty good, you know. So that's the type of guy, because he was just a wonderful, he's just a terrific guy. And him and Jack got on really, really well and all that type of stuff. And he played golf with Jack, because Jack was a mad golfer, and Beetson had a terrible day playing golf, you know. And he blew up, he said, I'm at it, I'm not going to play golf ever again, you know. So Massey puts this ad in the paper, set of ping golf clubs, used once, $200, ring here. and then, of course, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Massey rings, Beetson, they're sold.
Because Arnie was playing reserve grade for Parramatta at this time, but by the time Origin really came to fruition. And was it true, did New South Wales not take it seriously? Was Tommy not, full of venom like we would?
There are 3 reasons why it was fair dinkum.
Yes.
Right? Number 1, you're playing for New South Wales. You pull on a blue jumper or you pull on a maroon jumper or whatever. Hey, you're not going to pretend. Number 2, you're playing against your mates. And I tell you, if they get over the top of you, they're going to live with that for the rest of your life, like 40 years later, Rocket. Rocket, how are you? I'm going good. Gee, he said, did you play in that 1980? Yeah, and of course, the third thing was Tommy Raudonikis was playing. So there's no way in the world that he's not going to be fair dinkum because Tommy was quite out there when he got onto a football field. That first scrum, because they talk about the first scrum and about Cronin getting belted and all this type of stuff. I'm the first one who got belted.
So you're locking down in the middle of this scrum?
In the first scrum, I was halfway down and I'm thinking, I'm just waiting because I knew it was going to happen. And I'm looking over here and there's Tommy Raudonikis and Greg Oliphant and they're just about to... Tommy's just about to go kaboom here like that and the next thing is kaboom comes through in here like that. I saw it coming, I went this way, and then there's Bobby Cooper and him and Morris are going head and Beats and he's picked out someone else and Rocket's there and they're into it and it's just a full-on brawl, and of course in here I'm sitting there, what am I going to do here? So then I saw Johnny Lang in front of me. I bear hugged him. Absolutely bear hugged him and just hung on for dear life, And then I hear this voice, Edgy. I said, who's that? He says, me, Langy. I said, yeah, what do you want? He said, fall over, we'll roll over against the fence, we'll watch the stink together. And I said, not a problem. This stink's going on, you think it can't get any worse. And then you see 250 kilos of rippling muscle come running in from the centres in Malmaninga and Chris Place. And you think, oh, I love this game.
And loads for Meninga. Nicely to Close. Close accelerates and does beautifully right through the gap. He's been leading pointless. It's under the post for him. Onto the right.
You mentioned Ken Carney. Killer was his nickname. Noel Kelly, 15 send-offs, 16 broken noses.
Yeah.
Benny Elias, always the dastardly deeds. Cam Smith, can you see where I'm going with this? What's the dark arts of being a dummy half?
The dummy half part's fine, and if you're a skipper, it's even better, because then you just offload it, just like, I'll do this off there. But
so what makes a good hooker? You've obviously fiercely competitive.
Got to be the best trainer in the whole club. That's what you've got to be.
Smart?
Yeah.
Anticipate? Do you read people well?
You got to run it, but you can't be over... If you're the skipper, you can't over try and do all the instructions. You've got to let this is something... You just learn, you've got guys like Billy Smith and running the team. So, and even if you're skipper, which I had been, or you got Peter Sterling there, or you got Mark Schulman there, or you got Stevie Morris there. They're good at what they're doing, or other players. So you let them go.
Steve Edge, you're the captain's captain, the grand final maestro, and still one of the biggest rugby league fans that we have in the game.
Absolutely.